Hey guys, just a quick tutorial on how to shoot a time lapse and do the edit on it. So this is not comprehensive. There's some really smart people out there who do it. I'm going to show you my process because I try to keep it as short as possible and concise. So first I'm going to show you the settings on my camera that I used, and then I'll show you the post-production. Alright, so I'm using a Nikon D500. Obviously you need either a camera that has interval timer shooting built in, or you would use an intervalometer on your camera on top. So I'm going to go to shooting, go to off. I'm going to go to start options if you wanted to set it in the future, but I'm just going to go to interval. So again, some of this takes some guesswork and experimenting. So I did 8 seconds. It's more so a matter of how quick your time that you're trying to capture, how quick the process is going to happen. So if you wanted to capture the sun tracking across the sky the entire day, you're going to probably be able to put this at a higher number of seconds, maybe 10, 15, 20 seconds it'll take a photo. I was doing a flower closing. And I knew it was only going to happen over the course of about 2 hours, so it's going to happen relatively quickly. I'm going to hit OK. Number of interval shots. So I basically just set this. I usually do the math, so if I know I'm taking a photo every 8 seconds and I'm guessing that the process will be about 2 hours, I just do the math and figure out how many frames. So you could, of course, do a bunch if you needed to. This has got exposure smoothing. I honestly don't know what that does. So then I would just be good, start options, and then hit now. And so that's what I did. So then I just sat there fixed and took a photo every 8 seconds. The exposure is fixed, meaning as the light dims throughout the day or if the light changes, the camera does not automatically adjust. So I'll show you a little bit of a trick that I'm going to use in editing to try to smooth that out a bit. So let's look at that. Okay, so now I have taken the images from my camera and uploaded them to Lightroom on my computer. Haven't done anything with them yet, so I imported them into Lightroom. And so I'm going to use Lightroom first to process the photos into the format that I need, so it's a little easier to work in my video editor. You could certainly just pull them straight into your video editor, but these are high resolution and things will run pretty slow. So I'm going to do some cropping and adjusting first. And then I'm also going to delete and remove, the ones that I don't need. Again, it's just a little easier to do this in a photo program. So you can see here I've got tons of frames. I'm just going to scroll down until where I see it gets dark and the flower has already closed up. So somewhere around there, I'm just going to delete the rest of these. All right, so now what I'm left with are these. So I'm just going to open one of these up, just check this. So I'm going to go ahead and do my crop. So I want to go ahead and crop it the way that the video needs it, which is a 16:9. I'm just going to do it straight in the center. So that's good. And I can do some additional color correction and things in the video, but since this is a photo, part of the reason why the value of taking a time lapse with images as opposed to just turning the camera on and hitting record on a video is you get a lot more data and you can adjust this a lot more. So I'm going to go ahead and make some adjustments. I'm just going to boost my clarity, bring these highlights down just a little bit. So I'm going to leave the saturation where it is there. Again, I can add sharpness and things like that in the video editor. Maybe just boost my contrast just a bit. So I think that's good for me for right now. I think the color looks good. So again, whatever program you're using is fine. Lightroom is nice because I make the adjustment to one of these, and I'm going to sync it to everything, including my crop. So now I'm going to export. And again, here I'm gonna go ahead and resize, so I don't need 3000 pixels. It's just gonna make my video editing process go slow. So I'm gonna go ahead and resize the long edge to 1920 and resolution at 772. So I've learned the hard way, if you try to pull in full resolution photos into Adobe Premiere, which is what we're gonna use, it's just incredibly laggy. So I'm gonna hit export on that, so that'll take a few minutes to do, and we're gonna jump ahead. All right, next step here is to open Video Editor, and I'm going to, before I import, if you're using Adobe Premiere, you have to tell it when you import an image how many frames you want that image to be in your sequence. So it's much better to define that at first as opposed to trying to manually adjust all of them after you've already imported. So still image default duration. So we want this to be really short. So I did the math. I have a little over 1,000 images, and at 24 frames a second, that'll net me around 40 seconds of video, which is about right. So you want your images to be fast enough so it looks like video. If your images stay up for longer than a few frames, then it's going to be kind of choppy. So I'm going to change this to literally 1 frame. All right, then I'm going to import. I'm on full resolution. I'm going to change it to quarter, make sure. So I'm just going to test and see if we're close. So that's going a little too slow for me. So I've got a couple options here. I can create this as a nested sequence. So now it's put that together in one sequence as opposed to individual files. So I'm going to right click this, and we're going to change the speed. So we basically just want to speed this up. So I think I want it at like 500%. If you wanted to, you could save the video out as like an uncompressed movie file or something and then pull it back in. But I'm just going to speed this up this way. So now we are at about 3023. So we're at about 17, 18 seconds. Can probably speed it up even more. So it kind of depends on your final output, what you want to use it for. So I don't have a specific output for this. For me, the shorter the better, especially if it's something you're going to throw on social media. It makes it that much more dramatic when you look at it. So there's the closing up, and then it gets darker. So I like that. I think that works. I was thinking about if we wanted to make the screen if we didn't want to get it so dark at the end, what we could do is add in an adjustment. So I'm just going to pull this basic correction on it, and we're going to adjust the exposure, but I don't want it to do it abruptly. I need to do it smoothly. So we're going to turn on keyframes. So I'm going to add a keyframe right there. And then we want it to get brighter, about like that. So let's see how it should gradually. That's kind of nice, isn't it? That works well for me. So then I'm going to save this out as a video file, and we're good to go. So hopefully learn a little bit and just get out there and experiment. This is probably only the 4th or 5th time I've tried to do a time lapse with actual still images from my DSLR. A super easy, quick way to do time lapses is my GoPro, and it's just a video file, and then I speed it up. But what's really cool about this process is I get really good quality out of it, so I like it. So hopefully it's helpful. Thanks. Bye.